Concord was just the beginning, and I think that's true considering how insanely woke Sony is going and how much DEI they are pumping in every single crevice they can find.
Sony's billion-dollar disaster. Now, there's a headline for you, though likely the total far exceeds that by now, which makes this all the more concerning. But while everybody's been focused on enamored
That's a boring headline, by the way.
by the beautiful tragedy that was Concord, and what a beautiful disaster that was, completely poetic. But nobody's talking about the bigger picture here. They're not talking about how only just a few years ago, Sony invested heavily into live service games, and outside of Helldivers 2, they've all either failed, had their projects canceled, their studios shut down, or don't necessarily have the brightest future. And
well, everyone's now looking into how Sony's completely destroying itself. By the way, he's right. Everything Sony invested money, live service-wise, has been a disaster, except Helldivers 2. That's the only thing that's a success. Everything else, do I need to remind people of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? One of the best disasters. That's on the level of Concord. This is insane.
that's what I want to talk about. Look, the AAA game space has been obsessed with live service games. We all can see it. It's transparent as all hell. It's not about the value that they can deliver to their customers. It's about the value that they can deliver to their shareholders. And in that, it's a little weird. It feels like a betrayal on the side of Sony because their games have always stood for high quality premium titles, but not live.
Have they? I've never been a huge Sony enthusiast, so have they?
Service cash grabs. So it begs the question that I'm sure a lot of people are asking, when did Sony want to stop making games for us? Over the past two console generations, Sony has dominated with the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 4, released in 2013, quickly establishing itself as a leader in the market, selling over 117 million units worldwide, far outpacing the Xbox One, which struggled to even get half of that number. This success wasn't just about the hardware. Sony's lineup of single-player titles, including God of War, Last of Us Part 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man,
The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, sad.
and Ghost of Tsushima, these were all critically acclaimed and commercial hits.
Dude, what was this game called? Clank, Knack, or whatever. Remember this? How Sony was, this is gonna be the future of gaming! And no one literally cared. Kind of funny.
Commercial hits, creating a reputation for delivering blockbuster experiences beloved by players. A key moment in Sony's rise over Microsoft came with the launch of the Xbox One, when the Xbox attempted to introduce restrictive DRM policies that would prevent players from simply trading or sharing their games. Sony capitalized on this misstep with a now iconic ad.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Nah. All of this is bullshit. We have talked about this, but this is a multi-year spanning thing. This was 2, 3, 4 maybe years ago when we actually analyzed things for real on this channel and did things that are not just haha stupid. But guess which one gets more views? So I analyzed what's happening with the sales, Sony versus Xbox, and how it's looking. And the thing that obviously stood out as hell was the fact that Xbox was selling like roughly one console in Japan and Asia for 100 consoles sold by Sony. And I said that this currently is not a huge problem, because the Japanese culture and whatnot is not really that favorable for PC gaming and consoles in general. But the moment this changes, Xbox is in serious trouble because they will have absolutely no market share in East Asia or Japan or any of those places. And that's exactly what happened. And you know what happens when that happens and the world is more connected through things like the internet and whatnot? Well, considering people outside of Japan care about Japan, I know, crazy, right? We see what's popular in Japan, and that gives, well, PlayStation a huge advertisement boost because this is a great big game that's currently popular in Japan, and so it slowly comes over to the West. And that is how PS just freely wins over Microsoft because, well, literally they had no hold over Japan, and They have no hold on Japan, and that's kind of it. That's literally the story. Just the fact that they had nothing in the Asian market completely has shattered Xbox's current plans for, well, I don't know, for the foreseeable future at the bare minimum.
Share your games on PS4.
Also, this was funny.
PlayStation.
This simple tongue-in-cheek ad humiliated Xbox and highlighted Sony's player-friendly approach, giving them a massive PR boost before the launch of both consoles. As a result, along with Xbox's own PR mistakes, the Xbox entered into the console generation on the back foot, and despite making efforts to try to recover, the damage was done, giving PlayStation 4 the strong headwind it needed to cruise through its life cycle and into the next. Now, in this generation, the PlayStation 5 has continued Sony's winning streak. Although the Xbox has made strides with services like Game Pass, their first-party titles...
Oh, who gives a shit about Game Pass? Who gives a shit about any of these Pass bullshits? Every single person that's smart knows that Xbox Game Pass is literally just a money grab. You lose money subscribing to Xbox Game Pass. The average person buys like, I don't know, 2-3 games a year. Xbox Game Pass costs more than that per year to constantly maintain. So you're fucked. Okay? It is what it is. It's a scam. And Xbox for the longest time has had the, well, reputation of it having no games. And that's goddamn true. Now, to be fair, it's not like PlayStation actually also has games. Again, PS Master Race for a reason. But PS definitely has better games than Xbox. For example, I've watched the summaries of, what Xbox has cooking this year, and it's a bunch of fucking garbage. And then I've watched the PlayStation one. Now, some of them are garbage, and now it seems like it's going to be a bigger issue as time passes. But at the start, when we got the drops of those games, there were a lot more promising games, and there were a lot more hugely promising games. So that just edges out. People are going to buy the platform that there's better stuff. And PlayStation just has better looking stuff, more promise.
Have been inconsistent, with failed major releases like Redfall and flagship entries like Starfield and Halo Infinite receiving mixed reception from their fans. In contrast,
people hated it. It was not mixed in the slightest.
Sony has continued to release highly successful single-player games like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War
Miles Morales was a commercial flop.
or Ragnarok. While Xbox
Also, it was woke. You need to play as a deaf girl so you can understand what deaf people feel? I don't like it. Can we just burn them all in a bonfire?
has leaned heavily into Game Pass as a strategy, Sony struck on its strengths, delivering high-quality, narrative-driven games that sell millions of...
Oh, yeah, look at this. Now it's her story. Oh, boy, dude. If Ghost of Yote is not going to be woke, it's going to be a miracle.
copies and generate long-term goodwill amongst their fans. I think that Sony's decision to focus on these blockbuster premium titles has allowed them to maintain their dominance. Even as the industry has started to shift towards subscription services and live service models, Xbox's reliance on Game Pass, while innovative, has yet to deliver the kind of killer releases and exclusives that would sway the masses away from PlayStation's strong releases. This has allowed Sony to maintain their foothold as the console of choice for players that are seeking high-caliber single-player experiences. However, just a couple years ago, Sony had announced plans to expand into live service games, signaling a major shift in strategy. The company initially revealed plans to release 12 live service games by 2026, aiming to tap into the lucrative, reoccurring revenue streams that come from ongoing games like Fortnite or Destiny. This push was seen
this was hilarious.
as a move to diversify and future-proof their business model, catering to their shareholders eager to see a steady cash flow rather than the hit-driven model that they've relied on up until now.
Hey, look at that! He learned something from my videos. Because I have been saying this constantly. This is because companies like line going up. It's not a meme. A line must always go up without pretty much exceptions. Unless you're Amazon in its early years and run by Jeff Bezos. That's one of the very few exceptions. But companies want line go up, but the line can't go up like this. Line needs to, if this is a straight line needs to go up like this, you know, couple of percent a year, so it's stable growth. And you need to say, oh no, there's still a huge market to tap. Trust me, bro, the well is not dry yet. You need that. For example, Warner Brothers, the Hogwarts Legacy, best-selling game of the year. People loved it. Sold like this. It made their graph go like this. Do you know what happened when people at Warner Brothers at the top saw line go like this? They were fucking horrified. They don't want that. Because when you're a publicly traded company, the next year's budget is gonna account for this line. Okay? It's gonna account for this line. And chances are, well, there is a chance that you can say that it's not going to account for that next year, that we're going to ignore that, but that's not going to probably happen, okay? Now you need to account for this line, and if you don't account for this magical triangle of shame, you're not getting your bonuses. You're fucked. Investors are going to be mad, you're not getting your bonuses, you're a bad leader, blah, 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 you can't do the job properly, you're fired. That's what happens. This is why all of them want live services, because live services, even failed ones, are just a trickle of money like this. It just trickles slowly in. It's predictable, it's easy, and when you need more, you just make an expansion. That's why everyone wants live service games. Not only Sony, but everyone. Because line go up, but line don't go up like this, which is dangerous and bad for business, ironically enough. But it makes line go up like this, which is perfect.
From an investor or an exec...
Extremely predictable budgeting, extremely predictable income streams, extremely predictable future planning. That's exactly what any publicly traded business wants in their life.
Executive standpoint, this makes total sense. I mean, Genshin Impact has made $5 billion. Fortnite's made over $26 billion. Live service games make a lot of money. But when you're blinded by greed, you tend to miss the obvious things. And in this case, it's the inherent difference between what's made them successful and their shotgun strategy of dumping out 12 live service games by 2026. I think it's relevant here to point out that Sony's brand identity within the market is that of the premium console experience. That is what their customers have come to expect. Xbox is the affordable one, Nintendo is the unique one, PlayStation, that's premium. And Sony knows that. That's what they've been pushing. Well,
sounds like some kind of console peasant cope right there.
Yeah, they take a gamble on their single player.
Oh, this is the unique one. This is the premium one. This is the shitty Xbox one. Oh, I need all three of them so I can be a retard. Yeah, sounds like pure cope, not gonna lie.
Games you're gonna have.
Unless you're rich, in which case, hey, I would pay prostitutes to smash consoles for fun.
Have a Baldur's Gate 3 or an Elden Ring or a Black Myth Wukong that's going to come out and it's going to steal some of the limelight. Players can always justify buying a PlayStation game because they know it's going to be a highly refined, great experience that's worth their money. That's why people buy PlayStations.
That's the doubt.
So there's something inherently not PlayStation about.
I think this is just a complete overestimation of what's happening. I think people buy PlayStation just because PlayStation has better shit. Again, watch the Xbox State of Games. 2 big releases that could be good, and like 3 other smaller things that look interesting. Watch PlayStation. 3 big things that look good and probably are gonna be good, and like 10 smaller things that have potential. It's not even comparable. Xbox just sucks for gaming in general. It's just the way it is.
Live service games, because they don't represent any of that. And I think that's where their troubles begin. Let's first start off with the live service games that PlayStation has canceled. The Last of Us Online, initially announced as a standalone multiplayer title tied to The Last of Us Part 2, this project was highly anticipated by its fans who had already enjoyed the multiplayer mode in the original game. However, in mid-2023, Naughty Dog revealed that the project was put on hold due to concerns about their ability to deliver a high-quality live service experience. Bungie, which was brought in to help evaluate Sony's live service games, reportedly found that the project's retention and long-term viability were lacking. As a result, Naughty Dog ended up scaling back the game and eventually canceled it altogether to focus on their single-player games. Spider-Man: The Great Web was an unannounced multiplayer Spider-Man game in early development at Insomniac. However, it was quietly canceled before its announcement. Rumors
The hell do you even do in a Spider-Man multiplayer game? Are you just all Spider-Man? It's it sounds cool, but when you think, what the hell would you do in a multiplayer Spider-Man game? I have no idea.
Suggest that the game was intended to be a live service experience, but it never gained any traction, and early leaks and information.
Oh, look at that. It's Craven the Fury, or some other Fury. I don't know. All Furies look the same.
Indicated the project just didn't fit the established single-player focused Insomniac Spider-Man universe, and concerns over how well a live service Spider-Man game would do kept it from going anywhere. After years of fan demand, a Twisted Metal reboot was finally in the works, with Firesprite Studios leading the charge. The project was initially intended to relaunch the beloved franchise as a live service game, but this too was canceled. Reports indicated development issues alongside changes in studio's leadership, which ended up causing some delays. Additionally, the direction of the game was increasingly at odds with
I have never played this or seen this. Is this like Carmageddon?
PlayStation's vision for live service titles, and as a result, Twisted Metal was scrapped before making it too far into development. London studio, known for their work on titles like Blood and Truth, had been developing a multiplayer live service game. However, in a major restructuring move in 2023, Sony decided to close down the studio and cancel the project alongside it. The shutdown came as a part of Sony's broader reevaluation of its live service plans, which saw multiple projects axed and studios closed down, just like Deviation Games. At this point, 6 out of the 12 planned live service games have been canceled, with multiple studios seeing massive layoffs and closures.
Good.
While specific numbers weren't shared, this likely cost the company hundreds of millions of dollars while they funded projects and studios that would eventually just be shut down.
Are you kidding me? Shutting 6 project downs like that, even in year 1 of development, is probably $500 million easy.
Layoffs, severance packages for employees, the salaries for their time while they were developing these games, legal fees, all flushed down the drain, as none of these games would ever see the light of day. The fault lies squarely with Sony's leadership. Instead of continuing to leverage studios like Naughty Dog or Insomniac for doing what they do best, creating timeless, narrative-driven experiences, Sony gambled these resources on live service projects from studios.
I'm sorry, but I kind of remembered The Last of Us She-Hulk Returns. That's not a great multiplayer experience. That's something that induces vomit.
That know nothing of live service games and likely didn't even want to make a live service game, meaning that they were all doomed from the start. Result? Cancellations, layoffs, and years of wasted development. Looking at Naughty Dog and Insomniac specifically, imagine the incredible single-player titles that we could have gotten if they were working on those during that time. New IPs developed by established studios that players have been wanting to see new games from. Games that would contribute to the legacy of PlayStation. Instead, Sony's shift to live service games violated what made those studios great, wasting...
Wait. Well, what exactly do we need to continue? Okay, can anyone name me a game that we need to continue that continues the Sony legacy of single-player games that are awesome? What is this? The Last of Us next? She-Hulk smash once again? What are we talking about here? What are we continuing here exactly? I don't know. I literally have no idea what he's honestly talking about. What are these magical PlayStation games that are going to continue Sony's immaculate legacy of nothingness?
Have been wanting to see new games from. Games that would contribute to the legacy of PlayStation. Instead, Sony's shift to live service games violated what made those studios great, wasting their time and that of the players. A lot of wasted time, money, and potential from my perspective. Well, yeah, Spider-Man 2 was still being worked on by Insomniac at the time. When I saw the news that they had Insomniac and Naughty Dog...
Not actually really that much wasted potential or, wasted resources. This, to a degree, is the same as the Microsoft situation. And the Microsoft situation, I'm not even talking about gaming. I'm talking about Microsoft as in Google, as in Stadia, and, random shit like that. That's just stupid and doesn't stick. Google prints money like there's no tomorrow. the National Reserve comes to Google every morning, knocks on their door, and asks, how are you doing this? You don't even have a printer, and yet you're printing more money than us. Okay? That's how powerful Google is. And in that position where you have that much money, where you can literally spend it on fucking virtue projects and shit, it's riskier for you to not try and flip a couple of coins, even if there's only a 10% chance to succeed, than not doing it at all. Because even if you fail all of them, this is how it works. At this moment, Microsoft has enough infrastructure to not outsource almost any single part of creating a company from scratch. They have the resources for absolutely almost everything already set inside of themselves, which means the production cost for that is uniquely small. And that in turn means that they can fund more rando projects like Stadia that are going to completely flop and not do anything. But if Microsoft actually puts money in something that is a success, that success is going to be more worth year one than 20 of these projects that have failed already. So for them, the risk of not trying and making the next big thing is higher than actually not making it and just losing money. Because if they just succeed one time out of 20, they will recuperate all losses and make a profit. That's why they do this.
Working on live service games, I just sat there scratching my head. Those are resources that were better used for those studios to be working on new IPs. I think I speak on behalf of all gamers when I say I'd like to see...
I guess they were already working at new IPs to a degree. This is not a good...
something other than a remake or remaster from Naughty Dog when it comes to The Last of Us. So, you want to see if your studios are flexible. I get it. Look at Guerrilla Games. They came out with Killzone, now they make Horizon. It's good to test.
By the way, the gamer point of view is so stupid here. For example, let's look at Naughty Dog and The Last of Us. These arguments make absolutely no fucking sense in business, okay? This is how it works. Oh, Naughty Dog. Yeah, they should try and make something new, not just The Last of Us constantly, because people are tired of The Last of Us. That's what the people would be saying if Naughty Dog made if the Naughty Dog decided to make another Last of Us. And if Naughty Dog didn't decide to make another Last of Us, you know what people would be saying? The same shit about which was the company that made Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Oh, they make Arkham games. They don't know how to make this. They should stick to making Arkham games for all of eternity. You see, there's no logic in these two arguments. It just makes no sense. If a studio thinks it can make something, let them make it. If they don't, they don't.
That's that kind of thing. But you don't always want to do it, and nor are those studios actually capable of doing so in the first place. And that just brings me back around to how inherently not PlayStation all of this is. Because 12 games isn't experimenting, that's an overdose. From a platform and a publisher that isn't known for live service games, that's not what your customers are expecting. That's not what they come to you for. And from my perspective, live service games are as far from what a PlayStation game would be. I think there's a fundamental issue with the way that PlayStation has been approaching this entire thing, and I think it's because of the fact that they are so used to bartering for people's money and not people's time. These are two completely different things with completely different values, and in that, players aren't going to buy. Sony's push into live service games has not been smooth. Each release shows that they're just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks. Square Enix's Foam Stars is a prime example of this. Positioned as a colorful team-based shooter, Foam Stars is essentially Nintendo Splatoon, which has been around since 2015, it's had 2 sequels, and it's waning in relevance. Does that sound familiar to anybody? It's no wonder that on release, Foam Stars struggled to gain any traction at all because it didn't do anything fresh or innovative, and a better game already existed. In a crowded marketplace where Sony's audience is conditioned to expect high-quality premium titles...
Also, just FYI, Sony doesn't care about this money. Sony makes weapons! Sony sells fucking tanks, by the way. little known fact. Because Sony is a part of Samsung. Samsung fucking makes tanks and guided missiles. Like, oh, a Splatoon clone didn't work. Well, we're just gonna sell a couple of fucking rockets to someone, and there we go. It's all back. We're all in the green once again, boys. And like, this money doesn't matter.
Titles, premium experiences, most of them that are directed at adult audiences, Foam Stars just doesn't make any sense. Now, on the other hand, Helldivers 2, which launched just days after Foam Stars, became a global phenomenon. In the months following its February release, the game sold 12 million copies in 12 weeks, making it PlayStation's fastest-selling game of all time. It delivered exactly what you would expect from a successful live service title.
Yeah, and then Helldivers died. We know this story. Is this honestly just a recap? Because currently, I'm sorry, Legendary Drops, but I have not bought almost a single fucking sentence you have said. Because my experience, my knowledge says everything is the exact opposite almost. And it is what it is. I like his videos, but I pretty much never agree to him, which is hilarious. Anyway, that was Legendary Drops. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.